In this session, we'll once again focus on a different style of leadership known as servant leadership. This is a leadership style centered on service, empathy, and the well-being of others as the foundation for driving team success. It's a leadership approach that flips the traditional leadership model on its head by placing the needs of the team and the organization above the personal power or authority of the leader. Servant leadership isn't about wielding authority. It's about empowering others, creating trust, and fostering an environment where people feel supported, valued, and inspired to reach their fullest potential. Rather than seeing leadership as a top-down hierarchy, servant leaders operate from the belief that their role is to serve their teams and enable them to excel. In this session, we'll begin by discussing what it means to lead through service and support, exploring the mindset and principles that define servant leadership. We'll then examine the strengths and challenges of servant leadership, understanding where this style shines and where it may encounter obstacles. And finally, we'll look at case studies of servant leaders, drawing inspiration from real-world examples of individuals who have successfully embodied this approach. So let's begin by exploring the concept of leading through service and support. Servant leadership represents a fundamental shift in how we perceive leadership. Traditionally, leadership has often been understood as a role of authority, a position of power where leaders command and control. However, servant leadership turns this notion on its head. At its core, servant leadership is based on the belief that the primary role of a leader is not to dominate or to dictate, but to serve others. Instead of seeing leadership as a privilege, servant leaders view it as a responsibility, one that is centered on stewarding the well-being of their team and helping others grow. Now, this perspective emphasizes that leadership is not about exerting control, but about providing the support, guidance, and resources necessary for others to succeed. It's about recognizing that leadership is a position of service rather than one of superiority. One of the key principles of servant leadership is the prioritization of the needs of others. Servant leaders make it their mission to ensure that their team members are supported in every way possible. They focus on helping their team achieve their goals, and they understand that this often requires putting the needs of the team ahead of their own interests. Questions such as, "How can I help you succeed?" and "What do you need to be successful?" become central to a servant leader's approach. By adopting this mindset, servant leaders create an environment where team members feel genuinely valued and understood. This culture of support and selflessness fosters trust and collaboration, leading to stronger relationships between team members and their leader. It also cultivates loyalty, as employees recognize that their leader is genuinely invested in their success, not just in extracting results. When leaders prioritize their team's needs, they build a strong foundation for positive and productive relationships within the workplace. A cornerstone of servant leadership is empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, and in servant leadership, it's one of the most defining traits. Servant leaders practice active listening, meaning they give their full attention to their team members when they speak and ensure that they truly understand their concerns. Now, these leaders are attentive to the emotions, motivations, and personal challenges of their team members. Unlike traditional leaders who might dismiss problems or offer hasty solutions, servant leaders take the time to delve deeper into the root causes of issues. They don't simply address the surface level concerns, but aim to understand and resolve underlying problems. This empathetic approach allows them to build stronger connections with their team, creating an atmosphere where people feel heard and supported. The result is a more engaged and motivated team, as employees know their feelings and challenges are acknowledged and taken seriously. Another key focus of servant leadership is the development of others. Servant leaders take an active role in helping their team members grow, both personally and professionally. They don't simply oversee tasks, but act as mentors and coaches. They believe in the potential of their team members and invest in their development by providing opportunities for learning and skill building. For example, a servant leader might delegate a challenging project to a team member, not just to get the task done, but to offer the individual a chance to learn, a chance to grow and build new skills. By encouraging these team members to take on new responsibilities and stretch their capabilities, servant leaders help them build confidence and experience. Now, this approach empowers employees to take ownership of their work, pursue their professional aspirations, and develop leadership qualities of their own. It's a continuous cycle of growth and empowerment that benefits both the individual team members and the team as a whole. Transparency and integrity are also essential elements of servant leadership. These leaders are open, honest, and ethical in all of their interactions. They model the behavior they expect from their team by communicating openly and sharing information in a clear and honest manner. Servant leaders don't shy away from difficult conversations, and they're not afraid to admit their own mistakes. This transparency fosters a culture of trust, as employees feel they can rely on their leaders to be forthright and authentic. When leaders model integrity and ethical behavior, they set a standard for the entire team. Employees learn the importance of honesty and accountability, and they are more likely to emulate those behaviors themselves. Now, this open and ethical approach to leadership not only helps in building trust, but also creates an environment where people feel safe to share ideas, raise concerns, and speak up when necessary. Furthermore, servant leadership places a strong emphasis on building a sense of community within teams. A servant leader works hard to create an inclusive, supportive environment where team members feel like they belong and are valued not just for their work, but as individuals. This sense of belonging fosters a positive team culture and enhances overall morale. Servant leaders encourage collaboration, build relationships, and support the personal well-being of their team members. When individuals feel supported by their peers and leader, they are more likely to stay engaged and committed to the team's goals. Now, this sense of community also helps reduce turnover and fosters loyalty, as employees feel they're part of something bigger than just the tasks they're completing. It's about creating an environment where people are not just working together, but are truly invested in each other's success, both professionally and personally. At its essence, servant leadership is about asking, how can I serve, rather than how can I lead? Now, this simple yet profound shift in mindset redefines leadership as a duty to help others thrive. It's about recognizing that leadership is not a privilege, but a responsibility. A responsibility to lift others up, to support their growth, and help them reach their full potential. A servant leader understands that their success is directly tied to the success of their team. By putting others first, they inspire loyalty, they inspire trust and dedication, creating an environment where everyone can succeed together. In the end, servant leadership isn't just about achieving organizational goals. It's about fostering a culture where people feel supported, valued, and empowered to be their best selves. This approach has the power to transform not just teams, but entire organizations, creating a foundation for lasting success and meaningful impact. Now that we've explored the principles of leading through service and support, let's examine the strengths and limitations of servant leadership. One of the most significant strengths of servant leadership is its ability to foster trust and loyalty within teams. At the heart of servant leadership is the belief that leaders should serve their team members rather than simply direct or command them. When leaders prioritize the needs of their employees, take the time to listen with empathy, and act with integrity, they build strong, trusting relationships. Trust is the foundation of any successful team, and servant leadership creates an environment where this trust can thrive. Team members who feel that their leader genuinely cares about their well-being and values their input are more likely to be engaged, committed, and loyal to the organization. Now, this trust doesn't just improve morale, it leads to tangible outcomes. Teams that operate in an atmosphere of trust tend to collaborate better. They tend to communicate more openly and be more motivated to achieve shared goals. Moreover, this trust results in lower turnover rates, as employees are less likely to leave an organization where they feel respected, valued, and supported by their leader. Another key advantage of servant leadership is its ability to empower team members and foster a sense of ownership. Servant leaders don't just give orders, they provide support, delegate responsibilities, and encourage their team members to take initiative. Now, this approach allows individuals to take ownership of their tasks and decisions, giving them the confidence to act independently and make informed choices. When people feel empowered, they take pride in their work, and this leads to a culture of accountability. Instead of relying on a leader to tell them exactly what to do, team members become self-motivated and take responsibility for their performance. This not only enhances productivity, but also fosters innovation because employees feel more comfortable proposing new ideas and solutions. The result is a highly engaged and driven workforce that is invested in the success of the team and the organization as a whole. Servant leadership also plays a critical role in shaping a strong organizational culture. Leaders who focus on serving their team members help establish a culture grounded in values, trust, and transparency. Servant leaders prioritize honesty and openness, making sure that their actions align with the organization's core values. When this level of transparency exists, team members feel more secure in their roles and more connected to the company's mission and vision. Furthermore, servant leadership creates a sense of psychological safety within teams. Psychological safety refers to an environment where individuals feel comfortable expressing their ideas, admitting mistakes, and even taking risks without fear of ridicule or retribution. In such a culture, team members are more likely to collaborate freely, offer creative solutions, and experiment with new approaches. Now, this safe space for innovation is essential for teams to adapt and thrive in an ever-changing business landscape. The collective trust and open communication fostered by servant leadership contribute to a cohesive and resilient team that is equipped to tackle challenges and seize opportunities. Now, while servant leadership offers numerous advantages, it's not without its challenges. One common critique of this approach is that it can slow down decision-making processes. Servant leaders place a high value on listening to team members, seeking consensus, and gathering input before making decisions. Now, while this democratic approach can be highly effective in many situations, it may not always be suitable for fast-paced or high-pressure environments where quick decision-making is essential. In situations where time is of the essence, the servant leader's inclination to consult the team and then consider various perspectives may delay critical decisions. This can be problematic in industries or situations where rapid responses are required, such as in emergency management, healthcare, or high-stakes business environments. The key for servant leaders is to balance inclusivity with the need for timely action, knowing when to engage the team and when to make decisive moves on their own. Another potential challenge of servant leadership is the risk of leader burnout. Servant leaders are often deeply invested in the well-being of their team members, and they tend to put the needs of others ahead of their own. Now, while this selflessness is a hallmark of servant leadership, it can lead to emotional exhaustion if the leader does not set appropriate boundaries. Leaders who constantly prioritize the needs of others may neglect their own health and well-being, which can result in burnout over time. To be effective, servant leaders must learn to strike a balance between caring for their team and taking care of themselves. Setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and seeking support when needed are essential practices for preventing burnout. Only when leaders maintain their own well-being can they continue to serve their team effectively. In addition, servant leadership may not always be effective in every organizational context. In highly structured or hierarchical environments where quick decision-making and rigid processes are essential, the collaborative and consensus-building approach of servant leadership may feel out of place. In organizations where there's little room for flexibility or where speed and efficiency are critical, the servant leadership style could be perceived as too slow or unaligned with the company's operational needs. For example, in industries like manufacturing or logistics, where tasks are highly procedural and decisions need to be made quickly, a more directive leadership style might be necessary. So servant leadership thrives in environments where collaboration and long-term growth are prioritized, but in more rigid, fast-paced contexts, it may struggle to meet the demands of the organization. And lastly, one challenge that servant leaders may face is potential for some team members to take advantage of their supportive approach. Because servant leaders are focused on serving others, they offer guidance and they provide resources, there is a risk that certain individuals may exploit this trust. Without clear accountability structures and boundaries, some team members may become complacent or fail to meet expectations, knowing that their leader will provide support regardless of their performance. Now, this can lead to issues of underperformance or a lack of discipline within the team. It is crucial for servant leaders to establish clear expectations and hold individuals accountable for their actions, while maintaining their supportive, empathetic approach. Setting boundaries, providing regular feedback, and ensuring that everyone is aligned with the team's goals will help mitigate this risk. Servant leaders must balance their care for their team with the need for performance and accountability, ensuring that their leadership remains effective while fostering a positive, productive work environment. In conclusion, servant leadership offers many strengths, including fostering trust, promoting empowerment, and creating a strong organizational culture. By prioritizing the needs of others and leading with empathy and integrity, servant leaders create environments where teams can thrive. However, this approach also comes with challenges such as slower decision-making, potential burnout, and the risk of exploitation. Servant leaders must navigate these challenges thoughtfully, striking a balance between caring for their team and maintaining efficiency, discipline, and personal well-being. When applied effectively, servant leadership can transform organizations, drive engagement, and inspire loyalty. But like any leadership style, it requires careful consideration and adaptation to be truly successful. And finally, let's take a closer look at some real-world case studies of servant leaders to better understand how this leadership style plays out in various settings and industries. One of the most iconic examples of servant leadership is Herb Kelleher, the co-founder and former CEO of Southwest Airlines. Kelleher's leadership philosophy was revolutionary in its simplicity. He believed that employees, not customers, should come first. In many industries, customer satisfaction is the top priority, but Kelleher turned this model on its head by focusing on the well-being and satisfaction of Southwest's employees. He understood that if employees felt respected, supported, and valued, they would, in turn, deliver exceptional service to customers. Now, this philosophy was the foundation of Southwest's company culture, and it led to a work environment built on trust, transparency, and teamwork. Under Kelleher's leadership, Southwest Airlines became known for its positive workplace culture and extraordinary customer service, consistently ranking as one of the most admired and successful airlines in the world. By prioritizing the people who worked for the company, Kelleher not only cultivated loyalty and engagement, but also turned Southwest into a market leader in the competitive airline industry. Another powerful example of servant leadership is Nelson Mandela, whose leadership was deeply rooted in service, humility, and a steadfast commitment to the greater good. Mandela's leadership style was not about the accumulation of power or status. Rather, it was about serving his people and fostering unity in a divided nation. After spending 27 years in prison, Mandela emerged with a vision to heal the wounds of apartheid and to promote peace and reconciliation in South Africa. He demonstrated incredible patience, empathy, and resilience in his efforts to unite a nation that had been torn apart by racial injustice. His leadership was not about dominating the political landscape, but about serving a collective vision for equality, justice, and peace. Mandela's ability to listen, understand, and uplift others, especially those who had opposed him, illustrates the essence of servant leadership. His unwavering focus on the well-being of the people of South Africa and his dedication to building a more inclusive and fair society continues to serve as an example of how leadership rooted in service can transcend adversity and bring about profound change. Now, in the business world, Cheryl Bachelder, the former CEO of Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, offers another compelling case of servant leadership. When Bachelder took over the struggling company in 2006, Popeyes was facing significant financial challenges with a lackluster brand reputation and declining sales. Instead of immediately imposing top-down changes, Bachelder's first priority was to listen. She took the time to hear from franchise owners, employees, and customers to understand the issues they were facing. Now, this approach reflected her belief that leadership is about humility, respect, and service to others. She focused on creating a culture of mutual respect and collaboration, where everyone, from frontline workers to franchise owners, felt valued and heard. Bachelder's commitment to serving others helped transform Popeyes from a company in crisis to one that experienced significant growth and revitalization. By fostering an environment of openness and trust, Bachelder not only improved Popeyes' internal culture, but also transformed its financial performance, proving that servant leadership can deliver real, measurable business results. Under her leadership, Popeyes saw a surge in brand strength, improved customer satisfaction, and record profits, demonstrating that serving others can lead to exceptional outcomes. Now, these case studies clearly show that servant leadership is not confined to a specific industry or role. Whether in aviation, politics, or the corporate world, servant leaders share common values. A commitment to putting others first, a focus on building trust, and a deep dedication to creating environments where people can thrive. What's more is that these leaders have shown that serving others is not a soft or passive approach. It's a strategy that can lead to lasting success, whether that's improving organizational performance, fostering social change, or transforming entire industries. In each of these cases, the servant leaders created a culture of empowerment, where the success of the team or community was paramount. By consistently putting others' needs before their own, whether that meant employees, citizens, or franchise owners, they cultivated loyalty, trust, and mutual respect, which in turn led to long-term success. Servant leadership, as these examples illustrate, is a powerful and impactful way to lead, one that transcends traditional notions of power and control. It's a leadership approach that, when applied with genuine care and commitment, can drive not only individual and team success, but also create a ripple effect of positive change in the world. Ultimately, these case studies highlight the transformative power of servant leadership, proving that this approach is versatile, effective, and capable of driving results across a wide range of fields. The core principle remains the same. Servant leadership is about service to others. By focusing on this principle, servant leaders are able to inspire and empower those around them, creating lasting, meaningful impact. So, with that covered, in today's session, we explored leading through service and support, focusing on empathy, empowerment, and creating strong team cultures. We discussed the strengths and challenges of servant leadership, recognizing its ability to build trust, empower individuals, and foster a strong culture, while acknowledging its potential drawbacks in terms of decision-making speed, burnout, and adaptability to all contexts. Finally, we examined case studies of notable servant leaders, including Herb Kelleher, Nelson Mandela, and Cheryl Bachelder, to understand how this approach has been successfully applied. Servant leadership is not about relinquishing authority. It's about using authority responsibly to uplift others. It's about recognizing that the most enduring success comes from building people up, not controlling them. Whether you're leading a team, a project, or an organization, the principles of servant leadership offer a powerful framework for creating meaningful and lasting impact. In our next session, we'll focus on situational leadership, where we'll explore how leaders can adapt their style based on the needs, maturity, and capabilities of their teams. For now, reflect on your own leadership approach once more. Are there opportunities where you could practice more empathy, active listening, or empowerment in your team? Identify one action you can take this week to embody the principles of servant leadership in your daily interactions. I'll see you in the next video.